Hey there, hi. I am Linda K. Gifford. I always get mad at people for saying that. Gifford, F-O-R-D. Why do you guys call us Gifford when it's F-O-R-D? But you say Gifford and they're like, So, okay, start again. Hi, I'm Linda K. Gifford. I am a sexual assault survivor of 7 years of combined grooming and assault as a child, and I have c-PTSD. And I work with other people who have c-PTSD. So, in brief, this is going to be Sunday school. I do lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we're breaking down, working out of my trigger management guide, which will be available September 4th when we launch sweetsurvivor.com officially. Right now, it'll take you to my 4-year-old store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. And the first thing there is a subscription that I want you to all go to and do. Okay? Subscribe, please. There's a link in the description below to sweetsurvivor.com. Feelgoodfairtrade.com will also get you there. And please do your holiday shopping with us because we support women and rescued victims of trafficking and assault. We buy from people who give women an alternative to sex work in Indonesia and Asia. We buy from tons and tons of African artisans and communities who are women-driven companies that are employing men too, and just leading the way into bringing the schools and health, better health and food and everything into their communities. So we work with people who are proven to do good in their own world. And we really need, post-pandemic time, we need your support. And I need you to join Sweet Survivor. $5 a month. Can you give me $5 a month so I can rescue victims of human trafficking and assault? And on those lines, my headline today, and I'm really, really, really pissed off. Really pissed off. I am wildly progressive, as you know, and I am so upset that the language of society is such that even women are saying to me, well, they're soldiers, they're men, just turned everything over and ran. So we're out. Look, their own men didn't even take care of them. I mean, do you see where I'm going with this? I hope you do. I hope you've been here long enough. If not, God damn it, we don't belong to you. We don't belong to the men. They don't belong to the men in their country. The men in their country have been fucking them over forever, which is why I am determined to go global. Yeah, we need to think globally about human rights. We can't just abandon 19 million women and girls in Afghanistan to a life of subservitude after being there for 20 years because their men ran out on them. Isn't that a better reason to? Isn't it a better reason? And what kind of dumb motherfucker, President Biden? I'm so pissed off. Anybody but Biden 2024. It can't be Trump, but this cannot go on.
Agreed.
This is an insane decision. It was so horrific. And even their justification saying, well, we didn't think this would happen for weeks to months, but they still thought it would happen. They allowed all of our military equipment, set the girls thing aside for now, they allowed all of our military equipment to go into the hands of the Taliban. We literally can't tell if a convoy going down the road is ours or theirs right now. This is insane. They're going door to door, taking girls. Divorcees are going to have to beg on the streets and no one will help them. Widows are reduced to hoping that their brother if there's a brother left that can marry them, brother to their husband, or else they are also reduced to begging because they can't work anymore. This whole, we're going to respect women within the whatever boundaries of their interpretation of Islam. And I am here to tell you that is not in the Quran. Demeaning and subjugating women is not a thing in the Quran. I think maybe the inheritance thing is a thing in the Quran, but all of that stuff, you have to, as I said last week and say always, I'm going to say it again, you've got to look at your religion with intelligence, with information. Look at everybody's religions. Look at history. Read about it. I have a whole shelf of books. Okay, you can borrow mine if you're local. I've got on all different religions. My father was a theologian and a counselor and a principal and a teacher and a preacher. And I'm telling you, if you can look at your experience of God as separate from your experience of the culture within your religion, then you'll be okay. You can enjoy the symbolism that comes along with your unique religion. And that's what we always studied. And my dad always taught us as a minister, taught us, look at, all the differences, and that they're really all based on the same thing, which is harnessing the spirit of love and goodness and kindness in the world and making it into a thing. Teresa, okay. My friend Teresa's here, and you can come talk. We'll come throw down. I'll be back in about 45 minutes. All right. I'll talk to you then. Bring a swimsuit. Be wearing a suit. All right. Anyway, yeah. So I'm saying this is so. I'm not going to judge who I'm going to help by how pussy ass their men are and how fucked up their culture is that they allow this kind of subservitude. And for us to sit here and be like, okay, 19 million women and girls whom we have provided whatever else did or did not happen in Afghanistan, women and girls have enjoyed some level of freedom. Not even as much as they had in the 1970s, but at least some level of being able to work, be a police officer, go to school. You're okay with that? Because I'm not. So, Sweet Survivor, we need to go international. We need to help people. Please go to my Facebook page, Self Talk with Linda K. Gifford. That's the name of my book, Self Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. And SWEET, if you don't know what it stands for, because someone asked me that, and I forget that you don't know. It's Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. And as a 7-year assault victim, rape victim, I feel I am uniquely qualified to be the one to ask you and to get this going. It happened because I got COVID, and when I found out I had it before I had symptoms, and then got very, very ill, and I'm still very ill, to tell you the truth, from it, 10 months later. But I was asked by my son what I would do if I had 2 weeks to live, because we both were diagnosed together. He was ill, and I felt fine. 4 days later, I had pneumonia and a couple of two different antibiotics at the same time, and a steroid, and a breathing machine, not a ventilator. But anyway, don't get it. But the point is, Sweet Survivor was the first thing that came to my mind. I have to do this thing that I keep thinking about wanting to do, and that I've actually named, whatever. I'm like, okay, boom. So I applied for nonprofit status, which I'm still awaiting, and I opened Facebook fundraiser and GoFundMe pages. But like, they're not being advertised, and nobody seems to really know about that. And now you can just make a subscription or a donation at Feel Good Fair Trade, my store. So I'm moving it to its own store September 4th. And as I was saying in our Sunday school lesson here today, if you will take the part of love and goodness and kindness that you feel that makes you drawn to a religious experience in the first place, and consider that one thing, and then take your religion and look at it historically and in a literary sense, keeping as the basis of your knowledge, the basis of every decision you're going to make is that everybody is equal. We are all created equal. We are all equal in whatever your interpretation of God's eyes are. So, basically, here's the deal. We were just talking about this, Teresa and I. Heaven and hell, I told her, she was talking about who's going to go to hell first. And I'm like, I don't believe in the concept of heaven and hell. It doesn't mean I don't believe in going on. And I did die when I tried to kill myself once. died enough to leave my body, see it from above, go. It's in the suicide one. There's a suicide video that I will attach to this, and I think it's an important one because it shows, I'm just being honest, about why people with c-PTSD from trauma, especially sexual assault trauma, um, might choose to kill themselves. You know, people, I get accused in my messages and comments that I'm crazy. It's like, well, I'm going to agree that it wasn't a healthy thing for my mental state. No, being groomed and taught to do sex acts and then raped for 7 years total. No, I'm I developed my brain in a different manner than you did if you weren't subjected to some kind of trauma. And the people I work with, and probably a lot of people you know based on statistics, a lot more than you think, and a lot of men too, actually are suffering with c-PTSD. And so I've learned ways to get out of it. And that's what we do in our lessons. And this last week, we worked on the shame, separating the shame and the guilt on Tuesday. I didn't do a Thursday live stream. I'm sorry. I had to go to the hospital again for my long hauler COVID, um, for heart testing and all. And I have a diagnosis now, for what's been going on with me for 10 months. I have a colon. COVID has left me with a permanent condition called lymphocytic colon. So now there's only about a dozen foods that I can eat for the rest of my life. And they don't include red meat, bread, grains of any kind, no oats, barley, rye, no beers or seltzers made out of that stuff, no nuts, no seeds, no legumes, no lentils, no soft dairy, a tiny bit of like aged cheese, maybe, um, no yogurt or any of that. So there's like virtually nothing I can eat now. And it's permanent. And if I treat my if I do anything else, if I do it wrong, I will continue having constant pain that keeps me in bed and running back and forth to the bathroom from about 3 or 4 in the morning until about 10 or 11 in the morning every single day for 10 months, right? They're telling me that this won't stop unless I take this drug that I'm about to try, and there's a very little chance it'll work to put me in remission. And then after that, they wanted to put me on Humira if that doesn't work, if and when it doesn't work, or a biologic, and that's like $10,000 a month proposal. I'm covered, but still, it's like this is not good. And when people are mixing up their common sense and scientific reason about the planet, about COVID, about anything, and they're calling it religion, you've got to see that that is not real. That's not reality. So you need to, in the way that I teach people to separate their c-PTSD experience from the reality that it exists within, and I teach you ways to do that. Now, on a broader scope, I would like society to do the same thing. Okay? And along those lines, would you please get God out of your vagina? Get God out of your daughter's vaginas. Get yourself out of your daughter's vaginas, both figuratively and literally. People who rape other people should be killed the first time. Get them out of the gene pool. I double down on that. Yes, I mean it. If that makes me militant, you've never been raped. So you do you. But if I had the ability to pull the trigger on every rapist, I would sleep better every night that I did. So there's a double down for you. And another double down. My double downs are when people take issue with something and I think about it and decide if they might not. So far, I'm rocking 100%, as I said before, that I'm always right. So imagine that. But we have that benefit that we can decide things for ourselves and not let other people do it for us. And we can do that and should do that with information, not by following someone down the social rabbit hole of non-truth or mythology or I don't know. How did we suck the educated out of society so fast. Where did they all go? I was shocked to find out how many people, and stop blaming it on social media too. There's another double down. Social media didn't create the problem. Social media exposed the problem. So looking for a scapegoat, trying to burn the Zuckerbergs, or the billionaires, although they need to pay up. But burning those people because we showed our asses, as soon as someone shined a light on us, we said, hey, look at my ass as a society, pretty much. And you know what? That goes along with something I teach that I was just talking to Teresa about. And I think it's a good time to remind you of that too. And I'm at this place, in things in my own world. It's like you don't have expectations, have standards. So if you're constantly bending to try to make someone else happy, or constantly trying to see your reflection in someone else's eyes, and survivors of um, any people with shame and guilt complex, and that's something that you have if you were sexually assaulted, probably. Even if you think you do, even if your literary mind says you don't, it's embedded in you and in your body memory. Um, Fear and shame and guilt. And these are things that we worked really hard on in lessons this past week on Tuesday. So I encourage you to, I'll attach that to the end of this. There'll be like choices. I'll do the suicide one, so that you can understand. And I write about this in my book, which I'm going to repost the excerpts, I suppose, because I've had people asking for it. And couple universities that wanted to teach out of it, um, I guess need the copy again. So, okay. Um, yeah, what I mean by that is expectations. It almost seems, standards and expectations can be interchanged, but they can't. There's a difference. That's why words mean something. That's why we need to change the language of society. But having an expectation of someone that I need you to do this for me to be happy. And then the worst thing you can do is then tell them that. Tell them what your expectation is, because now they're going to try to do what you want them to do. And now they're not being honest. Now they might be doing something because they're afraid of losing you. Now they might be saying something because it's just easier. Now you're telling them how to lie to you. You're teaching them how to be false to make you happy. And you don't want that. I don't think. If you do, you bye bye. I really don't have anything to say to you, because that's like not at all. I don't know. Maybe you can listen to the rest and learn something if you have c-PTSD, but I think it all works together. And that kind of a relationship is no good. It doesn't lead anywhere, but do have standards. And if somebody, whatever's going on in their world, if it doesn't work with your ideology or your emotions or your personal states, then you have the right and the duty, even to yourself, to be honest. To be honest. And part of being honest is not to gush a bunch of information to them. Here, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, and I need you to be this and I need you to be that, because if you're really unlucky, they'll listen and they'll do it, but they won't mean it. So just watch and only be with, if you have any say about it, in any capacity, work or spiritually, who you talk to, who you have dinner with, how you deal with your own children and family. I only can deal with people with an ideology and a manner and actions that I respect. But especially in a partner, I'm sure as hell not going to tell them or my children what I expect of them. I want them to be themselves. And because of the fact that I like who they are and they like who I am, then there's never an issue. If your expectations aren't met, your standards will lead you into something better. So don't tell all. And this also goes along with something that I talk about, and it's in the trigger guide too. Just a little relationship advice. Don't turn your lover into your counselor. Get a therapist. I'll be your coach. I'm cheap. First half an hour is free because I just want to hear your story and anonymously. If I basically I'm adding to the end of my book a section on everybody else's experiences too, and kind of wrapping it all up. And so I won't use your name, I mean, unless you want it used, but um, I think that for the safety and security of everybody, we'll just use first names or pseudonyms. Um, and I do want to talk to you, but get a therapist or talk to somebody that you respect or have a close friend that you have on that label. But if you give your lover a play-by-play of the horrors of your past, and by all means, they need to know because I didn't tell the first three husbands. I didn't tell them what had happened to me. That was wrong of me. My fear was that nobody would want me if they knew, and that kept me quiet forever. That shame and guilt. So now it's like up front. Hey, have you seen my live streams? You know. Uh, my partner has a daughter. I'm like, is this going to be a conflict? Because this is what I do, and if I may want to keep this quiet or reconsider being with me because this is a mission to me to help women in the world. And I'm just disgusted that we have an entire world where women are still subjugated. It's 2021. I'm looking around and I'm seeing. I mean, I already knew this. But I was buying the whole culture thing. Until I listened to Afghani women and girls saying, if they come for me, we're going to kill ourselves. If they come for us, two divorced women, they've already been shunned by their families. Now they don't have jobs. They can't pay next month's rent because they don't have jobs. They can't buy food because they don't have jobs. They can't even beg because they're divorced women. What's going to happen? They're going to kill themselves if they haven't already, and they're serious as hell. People are killing themselves, committing suicide, women and gay and others. You cannot live in a world, we cannot accept a world where human rights of women are considered in the hands of their men, which is back to the top of this, and why I titled it, Jesus, their pissy ass men run away. Well, yeah, they don't have a commitment. The men don't have a commitment. Big surprise. Who didn't know that? Does that change how I feel about getting the women and girls out? No. It actually makes me think we need to take a big stick to the whole goddamn planet. Yes, I want to colonize the whole. I want to pull together, and the only way I know to do that is if, I don't know, if you're a praying sort, pray for a rapture for these evangelicals, because think how much better the world would be if they just got out of it. Maybe that's really what the rapture is, huh? Consider if you're religious. Maybe the rapture is really paradise will come to the world after the rapture because you get the fucking morons off of it who are destroying life for the rest of us and for women and girls. And no woman or girl on this planet should be subjected to the whim of their mythological believing pussy ass men. And there's this guy that I won't call him a man, university grad, and he's all, oh, you don't understand. The women are fine. They're going to be treated fine. You're just not understanding our culture. If you'd like to talk about it. And I'm like, no, motherfucker, I don't want to talk about it. I think you're a piece of shit, and I'd like to put a bullet in your head. Yeah, double down. I'd like to vaporize. I don't really want to hurt anybody. I'm not into pain and torture. But if you could just be gone, if I could just go poof, if you were all on a dandelion and I could just, yes, I would. 100%. My God doesn't like mean people. My God thinks it's okay to vaporize them. Unfortunately, I have no vaporizer. So we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way and vote and teach and advocate. So basically, heaven and hell are both things you make and take. Hey, that's like a thing. You make them and you take them. You're going to make within yourself the feeling of heaven or hell, or being a person who is going to go to heaven or going to go to hell. And then when you die, I firmly believe that you have created that heaven and hell that will go on with you. So I do think it's a good idea to try to get your shit together and be nice in this life. Because if you're a hateful person, I'm not saying you're going to have a bad life. You might, maybe the next universe has great outcomes for hateful people. I don't know, but I still would choose not to be one. I'm hoping that my next life is something wonderful and peaceful or joyous, and I think the best way to enter the next life is feeling like I did everything I could in this one to get it right and to help people. So, Sunday school. Change the language of society, please. We don't belong to men. We're not their women. We are women. And women and girls all over the world should not be abandoned or neglected by strong nations with the ability to actually affect change in the world just because their men are pussy ass son of a bitches. And way to go giving all of our military equipment to the Taliban, President Biden. Anybody else for 2024 except for Trump, naturally. Biden does not instill me with confidence. This is a nightmare. And as I said at the beginning, I'm going to repeat it. Stop trying to justify with, oh, well, they said it's going to happen in weeks to months anyway. That was the intel we had. If it was going to happen in weeks to months anyway, why the hell didn't we get our equipment out of there or blow it up before we left? Why did we just mass exodus our troops and leave all that equipment in the hands of people that we knew our best experts thought that in the best case scenario would crumble in weeks to months? Way to hand the U.S. military equipment over to the Taliban and give them a foothold in the Middle East. Are you fucking crazy, President Biden? I'm so disgusted. So, I just want to say thank you for your death threats. I know I'm making a difference in the world when I've got people from other places saying that they want to put a hole in my head. My job is done. I will talk to you on Tuesday. Please go support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund at sweetsurvivor.com or feelgoodfairtrade.com, where you should also buy a lot of things because we need to get back to supporting. And I ship in 2 to 5 days, just like Amazon, because myself and other retailers of fair trade, both online and off, we communally warehouse in the States so that we can ship next day. So don't be scared it's going to take too long, and it changes all the time. You'll see lots of collections at feelgoodfairtrade.com. Open up all those. Drop down menus, going to give you a bunch more. Each one's just got a few items because these are actual women, families, and communities making them in their workshop and in their living rooms. Please help us support them and their communities where they're doing good in the world. Help us rescue victims of human trafficking and assault at sweetsurvivor.com. And do come back on Tuesday. I don't have a bunch of doctor crap this week, so I should really be on time Tuesday and Thursday, where we're going to talk about disassociation. We talked this week about how to separate the shame and the guilt, how to recognize the shame and the guilt, how to pull it out of you, how to stop swallowing your memories and stuffing them back down inside your heart and your mind, but instead let those memories surface and calmly, not reaching for drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, not jumping in the rabbit hole of despair, not crying, not blacking out, not breaking something, all these things. I've done all of the above. Many people with c-PTSD jump into what I call that rabbit hole because it feels comfortable. we say we don't want crazy. We say we don't want to go there and that that's our problem. But the problem with our problem is that we really are drawn to crazy because it's an escape. When you are not facing your memories and filing them correctly into the part of your mind that can deal with it and look at it as what it is outside of you, something that happened to you, a club that you're in. Remember, there's no normal. Normal is what other people think other people are. There are so many sexual assault survivors like us that tons of people have the same experience as you do. And we're walking around not talking about it. Well, that's over. Someone accused me of jumping on the Me Too movement. Thank you for noticing. I, I thought that was blatantly obvious. I mean, I didn't put it in the headline because it was that blatantly obvious. Linda K. Gifford jumping on the Me Too movement. It's like, but guess what? I earned my spot on this train, or rather, I had it tortured into me. And I have a great life. I deal with trauma. I deal with c-PTSD all the time. And I have learned that jumping in that rabbit hole, it's more like a black hole. You should just throw your stuff in, right? Throw your crazy in it, but don't jump in yourself. Instead, be calm. Let that memory surface. See it without the guilt and the shame. Separate that out. Now you're going to put it away in a mental file. You're going to put it away in your mental file. This is what we talked about last Tuesday. Go back and go in depth into that. The next step in Spades, my trigger management guide, after realizing the shame and guilt isn't yours, is separating the past from the present. And that is what I'm talking about, it not going in this rabbit hole. And there are very specific ways to do that. When that c-PTSD enters your world, it's like a video just started playing and you're the star. And even though I can see the world around me, I still am feeling and hearing and smelling and tasting and experiencing the trauma. And when we do this, and this goes for people with PTSD too, not just complex PTSD. When we do this, it's like you have to, and you can, instead of falling in that abyss, you just state the most easy exercise in the world. I learned it from a therapist 20 years ago, and it works. You just say, that's a brick wall. I'm saying what I can see. That's my fan. My name is Linda. It's 2021. I'm going to have, I don't even know what to eat for dinner. I don't start. My kids' names are John, Sam, and Willie, blah, blah. You take yourself out of the PTSD experience, and now you're going to file it away, and you're going to see it, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm dealing with you. I'm taking you out of me. You're not part of me. You're in my mental office because you need it there so that you can make sure you never go there again. So look at your mental file and say, that is what happened to me, and that is what I'm going to be damn sure doesn't happen to anybody else. So support Sweet Survivor. We're going to talk about disassociation. Dissociation, if you prefer. I prefer disassociation. They can be used interchangeably, but disassociation to me feels like a word that divides things more fully. And disassociation is something that we are often told is like a problem, but really researchers in mental health don't even consider having alternate personalities and using disassociative techniques to handle trauma, to deal with it in the moment as an illness. It's actually a quite effective coping technique. And as I've said before, if you talk to somebody in your head or yourself or hear voices that guide you, or have somebody that stepped in and took over to take you away from the pain and help you have a relatively normal life the rest of the time, then thank them. Thank them. Thank your altar. And now set that aside too. I still talk to mine. I still talk to little girl in rage. But now I talk to them instead of becoming them. That's a step in the right direction. So, okay, go on. You want to do it. You know you do. She's commie. She's crazy. You're crazy. It's like, well, I do see a therapist an hour a week usually. I haven't for a little while, and I need to get back to it. But I'm moving at the end of the month. I am launching Sweet Survivor on September 4th. I'm there's so many irons in the fire, and it's like I don't even know how I'm gonna get it all done. Do you want to volunteer and help? You can also message me. Can use you. Linda K. Gifford signing off. Disassociation. How you did it, how it can be negative in your adult life, but how to use it and harness it as the superpower. Because now you're going to disassociate for good, not evil. You're going to take control, like I have, of my dissociative skills and just apply them correctly to help yourself instead of harm yourself or go away from yourself. So many things. I'm excited to talk to you on Tuesday and Thursday. I'm really going to sign off because I really want to get in that pool. And Teresa's coming back to get in it with me. Talk to you soon. Ah, there we go. Oh, my lights is broken. It's kind of dark, isn't it?